All right, good evening, everybody, and happy belated New Year to everybody. At this time, if you're able to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. At this time, I will open up the first hearing and privilege of the floor, and just please ask that everyone abide by policy 1230. State your name, address for the board, 5 minutes. Please refrain from using anyone by their individual name, but if you need to do that, by all means, please email the board.
Hey, how y'all doing again? My name is Chad Roberts, 42 Holly Boulevard, Scotia. Talked to y'all last month about Glenwarden's 4th grade class and the need for them to have 2 5th grade classes as they go into next year. I feel seeing the fruit we're sowing from this merged classroom is all the proof we need for adding an additional 5th grade pod for Glenwarden's rising 5th grade class. I'll be referencing the New York State Education Department school report cards from 22-23, the first year of this right-sized classroom. Specifically, I'll be looking at New York State testing administered last year in ELA and math data for this 3rd grade group. The results speak for themselves. As a district, we are averaging a 42% proficiency rate in these state exams for all 3rd grade classes for this past school year. When we narrow it down to this particular class, though, the scores we see are shockingly low. Out of the 19 to 25 students tested, we averaged a level 1 proficiency of 11%, level 2 proficiency of 53%, level 3 proficiency 32%, and level 4 proficiency 5%. Transitioning over to math scores for the class, we see equally low scores compared to their peers within the district who have an average of 51% proficiency. We boast lows in most areas across the board again. Of the 20 students tested this time, they scored a level 1 proficiency of 20%, level 2 proficiency of 45%, level 3 proficiency of 35%, and level 4 proficiency 0%. In both ELA and math, there were lows in the female, people of color, economically challenged, and disability populations as well. This correlates with the study I presented last time from Northwestern, Tennessee State University, and the University of Chicago. That study stated class sizes of over 17 are not conducive to these populations' success in the classroom. Now, a small class size is optimal for males, females, the poor, minorities, our staff, and society at large. Behavior issues are shown at all-time lows in class sizes of 17 and under, both in and out of the classroom. There are improved test outcomes, both state and local, better social engagements, and reduced dropout rates. Now, we cannot hope to simply add more staff in hopes of supporting this classroom we have created. The NCPA policy brief from 2012 shows that adding more staff to the equation is futile. We are simply adding more instruments in an already symphony of white noise. This 2012 brief says the pupil-teacher ratio, or PTR, is a division problem, while the class size is an adding problem. They're not the same, and the PTR data cannot be used as a substitute for actual class size data. It's kind of like trying to make a white Russian, but instead of using milk, you use ranch dressing. It might look all right, but it's going to taste god-awful. So, what is our solution? Because this data indicates to expect lower returns in the coming year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm unwilling to gamble on any child's future. I've chaired Glenwarden's Scholarship Committee for 4 years now, and it makes my heart swell with pride to see the young folks that we're putting out into society. Neurosurgeons, teachers, physical therapists, artists, they're just some of the bees that have left our hive. Their stories all include memories from a young age of one-on-one learning with one of our world-class staff, and not that of a classroom that looks like it should be pulling out of Central Station. I want to urge our leadership once again to review all information regarding this and any information in classes of this size in our district. Test scores, behavioral reports, exit interviews from staff, and most importantly, current staff feedback. We must put a premium on information with those who have boots on ground daily in our facilities. Finally, I would like to ask you to visit these classrooms and make it a priority to be a presence in our facilities. Leaders must be seen. Battles cannot be won from a map solely. You must be there to see for yourselves the issues at hand. We cannot become dangerously disconnected from the most meaningful work by becoming bogged down in minute details far from our subordinates and students' daily issues. I appreciate y'all's time once again. I cannot advocate more strongly than I already have that these children need 2 fifth grade classes going into next year. COVID interrupted their kindergarten class, and they have not known a normal situation since. We can give that to them next year. We just have to make room in the budget to make that happen. I appreciate y'all. Have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Karen Bradley, and I live right down the street here at 204 Run Street, and have had the privilege of raising my 3 daughters in Scotia-Glenville schools, and 2 of them have chosen to live in our community. They had a first-rate, world-class, really, education in Scotia-Glenville schools. I now have 2 grandchildren at Glenwarden Elementary School. I retired a year ago, and my background was literacy and librarianship. And I am volunteering in the school library at Glenwarden, so I have a great opportunity. I see all the kids in school, grades K through 5, all levels. My granddaughter is in 3rd grade at Glenwarden. Matilda started kindergarten in the fall of 2020, at the height, really, of COVID. You all remember what that was like. And she didn't know what school was, of course. Those children that were a year ahead, that knew what a classroom would be, was very different experience for them. But the 4th grade class that Chad has spoken about, and many of the families in Glenwarden are speaking about, those children, and education was interrupted at a very critical time. So when you think about what the foundation in reading in 1st grade, the foundation that is laid out for children, and how that has impacted children, certainly the test scores show it. Actually, our governor is addressing the issue of reading in New York State. It's a larger problem than even we're having here in our local communities. But the needs of the children, our staff have been phenomenal. Our families have been phenomenal in trying to support their children through these very challenging times. I just thank all of our district staff, our leadership, of what they've gone through. I do think the foundation that we try to get them here. Middle school is a challenging time for all kids. It always has been. It's just a different time of their life. But those that are going to be entering 5th grade or 6th grade, the foundation, if we can lay a solid foundation and strengthen that next year by reducing the class size, when you consider putting together your budget, think about adding that additional thing and what the impact would be on the children, on families, and really on the teachers here in the middle school that are going to be the ones that are going to then, be the ones to carry it forward. I know there's lots of needs across the district. I see the needs. We serve such a diverse population. The needs of the children of our school district are many, and that does impact every single grade and every level. Every teacher's classroom is impacted by this. What will happen? Good news is interest rates are coming down on homes. That's good news for families that want to now be able to buy a home here in Scotia. What will happen with new families that may purchase a home in Glenwarden and have a child that would be in 5th grade next year? Would that class size be bumped up, Or would those families then be split and your child will now have to go to some other school because there's no room? So if you go through this process, I know what the process is, and thinking of putting together a good program for the children, to consider adding that educational boost for them to really make a difference. So when they get here in this building in 6th grade, that they will have a stronger start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If no one else wants to address the board at this time, we will close the first hearing and privilege of the floor, but remind everybody that we will have a second towards the end of the meeting. At this time, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Schwartz for her comments.
Thank you very much. So I was thinking this morning about the fact that January is an interesting month for our students. We came back from New Year's Eve, our New Year's holiday on a Tuesday. Students had a 4-day week. Our students actually have a 4-day week this week because of our superintendent's conference day on Friday, which I'm very excited about the conference day. And then next week is a 4-day week because of the holiday. So I was thinking about the disruption, not only for kids, but for many of our families who then have to find childcare because their schedules don't necessarily replicate what the school schedule looks like. And that got me thinking just about school in general, and certainly what we aspire to do for students, what we want for students. As folks know, my 4 questions: what do I want for our students? How can we best achieve that? What will we do to get there? And what will we do if we can't get there? Really do guide my practice. But when I thought about coming off a holiday and the first 3 weeks of school being off weeks, I thought, boy, that's asking a lot of everybody, parents and kids, both, given the way our schedule runs. That also got me thinking about the school calendar and about the addition of our newest holidays and what that's going to do in terms of time for students at school. You know that in New York State, in theory, we require 180 days of instruction. And superintendent's conference days count as days of instruction, even though students aren't here. So I've been worrying a lot, or thinking a lot about how short the school year really is for kids, how actual little time we have with children, and how much we rely on families to work around the crazy schedule we have. So I wanted to just talk about that a bit tonight, recognize that we are asking parents to do change their schedules often for us, adapt to what schools do, and also just think a bit as leader about the time that we actually have with kids in school. So, Mr. Roberts, I'm going to thank both you and Mrs. Bradley for your comments tonight. When I look at that, I overlay that on my concerns about how little actual contact time we have with kids. You're right, there's a lot of things that need addressing. So thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Moving on to our reports and updates. Hold your breath, everybody, CAPSPA. I do have a Zoom call towards the end of the month. I'm out of town from the 23rd through 6th, and then our Zoom call is on the 27th. So I'll let everybody know if we make any headway there with CAPSPA, but at least there's something on the calendar finally. So that's good. Kim, legislative liaison.
There aren't any new laws in play now. However, the governor did the State of the State this week, and what I thought was a huge issue is that she's going to be bringing around legislation that she's hoping to have passed, which would completely change how literacy is instructed, back to the basics reading instruction, based on phonic awareness, phonics, decoding, vocabulary, comprehension. So think we're gonna have to be on the lookout for that, because I think that could potentially bring a lot of changes. And it's, from what I've read, it really does seem like back to the basics from when old person like me learned how to read. It sounded very familiar to me, but I know it's not something we've done in recent years. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how that comes into play. That's all the information I have right now.
Thank you. While you're at it, how about PTA?
Well, as we're gearing up for Founders Day, which is March 12th at Water's Edge, the terrace there. The nomination forms were due on January 5, and I know each of the schools are looking, their PTAs are looking through those to make a determination as to who they want to choose to represent their school or the council, because they also, I believe that has to be done by the January 16th. So I'm excited to see who our batch of folks will be this year who have been wonderful to the community.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Audit committee. Drew, I know we have audit meeting coming up. Oh, when was that? I know it's not soon, so it's not pressing, but do it one in the near future.
We just had the transportation audit. I got the draft report. It's a favorable review, and then risk assessment is underway now. So probably in the late winter, early spring, I'll get the audit committee together and have the presentations.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pam? And Kim?
Policy committee has not met since the last time we talked.
Okay.
We're planning every other Monday, so opposite weeks.
Okay.
So we'll have something on the off weeks and then some, maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday in between.
All right. Thank you. Board of Education goals. Superintendent Schwartz with your committee.
We will have the charges for both of the committees, the Superintendent's DEI Council, and then the work group for the board to review at the next meeting.
Beautiful. The other board goal that we have to work with middle school, I actually, again, hold your breath. I have a meeting with Supervisor Ketzley Monday morning at 10 o'clock. So as soon as that happens, then I'll relay what we talked about and try to outlay this finally to everybody. So look forward to that soon. And then budget. I know we have some info that will be coming up to us shortly. Anything you'd like to add to that tonight, Drew?
The governor comes out with her budget, I believe, next week. She's talking about foundation aid about 3 to 3.8%, depending on where you lie in the funding scheme. To note, we're fully funded, so we should be in that 3% range, I think, give or take. Sort of related is Susan and I found out late this afternoon that if you remember in November, I wrote to the superintendent and shared with the board on 3 grants that we were applying for electric bus subsidies. We found out on EPA round 2, we were not successful, us and the other districts that participated in it. We are in for round 3, which will be in the spring. But you remember it was 5 buses in each of the grants, so there's 5 we're not going to get with federal subsidy. And next Monday, we're going to launch an RFP for the National Grid grant, which will fund the infrastructure improvements of our bus garage if we're so selected. So a lot of work going on for this, kind of backwards in that I don't have approval to spend the money, but I'm trying to get your money, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, moving on to item number 6, if I can get a motion for appointment of an impartial hearing officers.
I'll move that the board approve the revised list of impartial hearing officers for the 2023-2024 school year as submitted.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion on that? No, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. If I can get a motion for the MOA, item number 7, please.
I'll motion to approve the memorandum of agreement by and between Scotia-Glenville Central School District and Scotia-Glenville Teachers Association.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this or questions? All right, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or abstain? So moved. If I can get a motion, please, to request an overnight field trip for our Corps leaders.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for an overnight field trip for the corollaries to New York City
in April of 2024.
Thank you.
I will second it.
Second, thank you, Kim. Emily beat Kim out that one.
I know.
Any discussion on this?
I just want to say that my son is actually in the Corliers, so I just want to make that out in the open as we put on this vote.
Right,
Mine as
as is Dave's daughter.
well. Daughter.
That's awesome, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. A motion for item number 9, a resolution.
I'll move we approve addendum number 11 to the superintendent's contract.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kim. Any discussion on this? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. Motion for resolution number 10 to accept and revise the report of the tax collector.
I'll move that we accept the revised report of the tax collector.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kim. Any discussion on this? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. If I can get a motion, please, for resolution 11 to establish and accept the Richard J. McGuire Memorial Scholarship.
I'll make a motion to establish and accept the Richard J. McGuire Memorial Scholarship.
Thank you. And a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Kims. Any discussion on this?
I just want to say I think this is really amazing. And then I never knew him personally or had any dealings with him, but he sounds like he was really wonderful for the community. And they're continuing that, which is nice.
Yes, and I was sorry to hear of his passing, and I think this is incredible. It's made me so happy to see this.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. Now we can move resolutions 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 together if we would like. So I would just take a motion, please.
Yeah, I'll move that we accept the gifts and donations as noted in 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion on these? Questions, comments? Again, it's awesome.
And again, just really happy to see this.
Yeah.
Thankful.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? So moved. Motion for communications.
Move communications A through I, staffing 1 to 9, placement of students with disabilities, and the regular minutes from December 11th as submitted.
Thank you. And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussions on all those or questions?
I just have one thing on the IEPs. The packet B, which is supposed to be CSEs, they're in there are mixed up with a bunch of CPSEs. So they got mixed in that folder.
Thank you. No. Nothing else? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Thank you. So moved. The treasurer's report, any questions about that? All right. If not, move fast. Item number 20, any other business that we would like to discuss?
I apologize. Pam, did you include in the last one the minutes for the regular meeting of December 11th?
did.
Yes.
I apologize. I should have abstained from that particular. I didn't hear it in the grouping simply because I wasn't there that day.
Okay, thank you. So noted. Do I have any other business? All right, if not, I will open up the second hearing and privilege of the floor. Again, if anyone would like to address the board, please do so. Just state your name and address. All right, if not, I will close the second hearing and privilege of the floor. I just need the board members to come up and sign before you leave for tonight, the purpose of the tax form for Bobby. And if that is all, I will take your motion to adjourn. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, sir. All in favor? Anyone opposed or abstain?